Hey guys, welcome back to Top 1%. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about how to work out after getting a new tattoo. Everything about the aftercare, what kind of workouts you can do, how to modify and be smart with your workout so that you can still get the best results and not lose out on any progress or any gains while making sure that your tattoo is completely protected and safe. And I'll also talk about the timeline of healing and what you can do at which point of time and what you cannot do, and a little bit about the aftercare process as well. So without any further ado, let's get started with this video right away. So first, let me give you a little bit of background on how I got my tattoo. When I woke up yesterday morning, I had no plans of getting a tattoo. I had no idea. And a little towards about 11 o'clock in the morning, I just called up the tattoo parlor. I was curious and he told me to come over within about 10-15 minutes. And I was like, okay then, I'm getting my first tattoo. And I knew what design I was going to get. It was on the back of my mind for a while. So I just went over and I got my tattoo done. We discussed the design. He told me where we are going to make it and how we are going to get it done. And it hardly took about 20-25 minutes of tattooing on this specific region. It's a small tattoo. So that was all done. And then I did a little bit of aftercare as a tattoo artist had suggested. And now it's been a little over 24 hours of getting my tattoo, and I'm going to go to the gym to have my first workout. When you can start working out depends on the size and location of your tattoo. For me, it's on an open surface where there's no friction. It's not on the inside of my shirt or pants or anything. And it's a very small piece, so it's going to recover way faster. Before we talk about working out, here are 5 things you need to avoid after getting a tattoo: direct sunlight, swimming or being submerged in water, stretching the tattooed area, sweating excessively, and steam or sauna. Also, coming to the tattoo recovery timeline, during the first 24 hours, you give complete rest. No physical activity, nothing more than brisk walking. So, I can start working out about 24 hours after my workout. So, that's what I'm doing. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to be lifting heavy. I'm not going to train this hand, obviously. What I'll be doing is mostly lower body. I can train my legs and I can train the other hand. When I train my lower body, I'm not going to be squatting and deadlifting heavy, because until about 72 hours after getting the tattoo, you don't want to do anything that increases your blood pressure drastically. So when you're squatting or deadlifting heavy, or you're bench pressing or doing pull-ups or anything that is heavy loaded, you do something called as the Valsalva maneuver. Here's how to do the Valsalva maneuver properly. First, take a deep breath in, fill up your diaphragm such that your stomach expands, and after that, brace your core such that even if somebody gives you a small punch, you should be able to take it. That's what you should visualize. After you take a deep breath and brace yourself, hold your breath as you move the weight through a full range of motion, and then breathe out as you finish the movement. Reset, brace yourself again, take a deep breath in, and then complete the movement for reps. So this was a small clip I took from one of my older videos where I properly explain how to breathe and brace in detail. Do check out that video. Now coming back to the tattoo recovery timeline, after 48 to 72 hours, you load light, you don't train heavy, and you train the non-tattooed areas. Try to stick to isolation or machine-based exercises and unilateral exercises, that is training one hand or one leg at a time, and definitely avoid friction on the tattoo. Now let's take a dive into my workout. As I go into my apartment gym to hit a quick workout, I'll walk you through it, give you a few sample exercises that you can consider and why I chose these specific exercises. So let's get right into it. So we start off with some dynamic mobility and warm up. After that, we are going to do 4 exercises. 2 exercises for the upper body and 2 for the lower body. For upper body, we're going to stick with 1 push and 1 pull variation so that you can work all your upper body musculature. The push muscles include your chest, your triceps and your shoulder. The pull muscles, your back and biceps, to simplify. And for the lower body, we are going to be training the front and back side both, or anterior and posterior chain. For the front, we'll be targeting the quadriceps, and for the back, we are targeting the hamstrings and glutes. So that's enough stimulus through 4 exercises, 2 to 3 sets of all of them to get the work done. So we start off with machine leg press, and I'm doing 1 leg at a time. The reason being, the weight in my apartment gym goes only up to 100 kgs. That's not nearly enough for me to stimulate my leg muscles. And also, when you do one limb at a time or you're doing unilateral exercises, it puts a little more emphasis on your intrinsic muscles, your core musculature, and also you'll have to drastically drop down the weight. And when the weights are less, your blood pressure doesn't need to increase that much, which is something we are trying to avoid when training after getting a new tattoo done. After that, we are going to go into an upper body exercise, that is a single hand lat pull down. Here again, the weight has to be dropped by quite a lot. I'm bracing my free hand, which is my left hand, that's a tattooed hand, and pulling purely using the right hand. I'm focusing on the quality of my technique and focusing on getting the work done using my lats. And that is quite an effective exercise. Next up, we are moving away from the machines, but still it is an unilateral exercise, and we are going to be targeting our glutes and hamstrings. So this is a single leg hip thrust. To make it a little more challenging, I'm holding on to a dumbbell on top of it. And here's another example of why I prefer unilateral training in this scenario. If I were to do both legs at the same time, I'd probably be using the barbell hip thrust, and I'd have to load hundreds of kg on it for it to be effective. And that's not a good idea in this scenario. And the last exercise is the machine chest press, and we are training one hand at a time. Now, you might be thinking, isn't it useless to train just one hand while the other hand is completely rested? What's the point? It's quite simple. Let's consider a case scenario where you have injured your left hand and you're only going to be able to train your right hand. That is actually better than not training at all. And here's why. There's a concept called cross education, wherein if you're training just one side of your body, about 30% of that adaptation carries over to the untrained side. So if you're training just your right hand and you haven't even touched your left hand for weeks, when you do get back to training properly again, your left hand is going to have about 30% of those adaptations carrying over. This happens due to some neural adaptations wherein your brain sends signals through the neurons into your muscles. I mean, obviously, not training for a couple of days after getting a tattoo is no big deal whatsoever, but I feel it's an interesting concept, so I just dived into it a little bit. And now, getting back to the tattoo recovery timeline, after 1 week, you can get back to regular training, you can train hard and heavy, but still follow the 5S. Remember that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch this video on your screen. Like, follow, share, subscribe, and until next time, take care, stay hungry.